Good morning, everyone. My name is Dean Brouder, and I'm the Drug and Alcohol Resource Coordinator for Methuen Public Schools. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Tom Walters. He is the Fine Arts Department Chair, and I'm very lucky to have him on today to discuss his program here at Methuen Public Schools. So, Tom, please give us a little background, your personal background coming here before Methuen Public Schools.
Sure. This is actually my 37th year of teaching. I started in New Hampshire, right across the border, and taught there for 16 years in a couple of school districts. I was music supervisor in North Andover, and then I came here to Methuen in 2006 when Mr. Savory retired. So I have been here now this is my 9th year here in Methuen. Enjoying myself, yes.
It's wonderful, mm-hmm. Yeah. What a program, and that's the reason why I asked you to come on today. Out of all the programs that I've been involved in with close to 40 years in the Methuen Public Schools, your program, I believe, is one of the finest that we have, and you should be very proud of your staff as well as all the students that have come through. Could you give us a little background on your staff right now? What is it like? What does it look like?
It's actually, we're growing. We have really a comprehensive program starting with kindergarten in music and visual art all the way up through grade 8. And then here at the high school, we have obviously media production as well as some theater, a lot of theater options. We have music, visual art is very, very strong. And this year with the new renovation of the building, we've added some new courses in music technology, and we also have an art graphic design lab. Photography is back, so we have really a comprehensive program in visual and performing arts that we're very proud of.
So the Fine Arts Department, Tom, throughout the whole system, how many staff members?
We have 30 members.
30.
30 teachers.
And what does that have to do? What does Fine Arts have to do? If someone's watching this show on drug prevention, drug intervention in terms of the public schools, what does Fine Arts have to do with this?
Fine arts is very important in the sense that it allows the individual to really express themselves, to express it's this emotional content. Interestingly enough, brain research tends to connect a lot of the emotional to the intellectual portions of the brain, playing an instrument, the design of visual art. So there's a great connection there for the individual. It's interesting if you look at prison programs. Sure. And a lot of rehabilitative programs strongly centered on the arts, painting, poetry, music. There's a big connection there, dance. All of those programs really are very supportive of the intellectual and the emotional self, if you will. So that's really the big connection that the arts have to the person. And for us as school teachers, that really helps students build their self-esteem, their sense of who they are, and that's what we hope to do in our programs. So.
We were talking earlier, Tom, I mean, just fantastic that as early as kindergarten, they're exposed.
Yes.
And so go into that a little bit. The initial stages of a child coming to Methuen Public Schools and being exposed to the fine art.
They have, our teaching starts in kindergarten, both music and visual art. And so very much our teachers are involved in many cases, this is before they can read. But we also know, particularly in music, that hearing is, of course, the first and fastest sense to develop. That even infants, newborn infants, can recognize the sounds of their parents' voices and other voices around them, long before they can see things. So touch and hearing are the first really to develop. So it's very important for younger children as they become really sponges. And music is something that they gravitate to. Visual art, color, design, storytelling, all of that is interconnected. So a strong arts program very much connects to to learning at an early age. The rhythms of language, those kinds of things are a very important part of the whole learning process. And actually what we've discovered over the years, interestingly enough, is that setting language to music builds it into the brain in no other way. So that's a key component of student learning.
And it's amazing to me. I mean, I don't know if it's still, if the state is still under, in terms of schools having pressure to cut or to eliminate some of these programs that, on the surface, they say that they may be fluff or that they're non-essential. I mean, how could anything be further from the truth? How can that be?
It couldn't. And here's an interesting thing. And we basically here in Methuen, we've been spared a lot of that because we do have strong support here. But other communities have seen the pressure to. There are a couple of reasons for that. One is that we're really a non-tested subject, if you will. And testing, unfortunately, becomes one of the primary means of looking at student assessment. So that's kind of an important thing. But the other thing is that people don't realize that as far back as the Clinton administration, with Goals 2000,
yes, sure.
We'll remember that. The arts were included in that as core curriculum. In the No Child Left Behind, the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, again, the arts, and specifically music, were designated as core curriculum. And within the state frameworks here in Massachusetts, we have state curriculum frameworks in all of the arts, and the state recognizes us as core curriculum. Yeah. And yet, what unfortunately, because we're untested, if you will,
right.
A lot of school districts have been looking at pouring their resources into, and we understand finite amounts of resources,
right.
Pouring that into the subjects that are tested, and that's unfortunate because that's when we unfortunately we see programs being reduced and eliminated and that sort of thing. Yeah.
So we're fortunate as of so far.
Methuen is fortunate in that we have been spared a lot of that. We haven't seen much in that sense. Yeah, our programs are strong and vital. We have administrative support. We have city support. So we're in.
And as you should, because there is no program, like I said, that I've seen in terms of getting most of the kids involved on one level or not throughout their whole school experience and bring a quality to their life. So I believe it's absolutely essential. Going back to the younger children, also the development of the discipline necessary to be involved in your programs, and we're moving toward the high school and the band. Your students develop a sense of teamwork, cooperation, but also you're known for discipline. And
Yes,
talk to that.
Yes, we are. I think a lot of that is product driven. We particularly, and our choral programs are beginning to do a lot of outreach to. They're doing choral festivals where they're judged, where they're getting feedback from impartial judges. We've always had the competitive marching band so that we're giving students feedback, and so they know. And we go through a whole process with them, particularly at the high school, not so much obviously at the middle schools, but we're starting that too. We've had them participate in festivals. We have, as a matter of fact, this spring we have a festival company that's coming into the Timony, and both the choir and the band at the Timony are going to be performing in that, and they'll get judging feedback. Sure. They'll get some scoring. They'll get some information, which is really important from outside people. The marching band does. We do that routinely. We go through. We look at scores. We look at 0.2 of a point that separates different ensembles. We look at this is where we did well. Usually, musically, we're very strong. Visually, where those scores have come up. So, there are whole components to that that we are constantly looking at, and that drives the discipline. But you know what's interesting? I think that we find within what we do, students are very active.
Sure.
And I know I'll have teachers that say, how do you connect to this? How do you, well, we don't have a problem with them, but that's because they're busy all the time. They're doing something that they're interested in, they're intrigued by, they're excited about it. And that particularly in the performance, I'd also say that's part of the arts. If you go down to the visual art, an art room at any point, you're going to see students working. They're engaged. They're listening. They're using their iPads. They're looking up models. They're looking up. So there's that active engagement there's ongoing constant. I think to the arts, and we know that if it's fun, they'll work at it.
Right.
And if they work at it, they get better. And as they get better, they have more fun.
Absolutely.
So you have that.
It's a cycle of success.
It's a cycle of success, really,
absolutely.
that is so important. Yes.
And, again, making the connection of giving children tools to express themselves. Time and time again, especially in my position where I deal with children who have substance abuse problems, I deal with the families who have been hurt terribly by addiction. Invariably, it will be something that's happened along the line where their spirit has been crushed. They were not able or unable or unwilling to communicate, and that's where the fine arts gives so many children an opportunity to express themselves.
Exactly.
And if you express yourself and you have pride in yourself, you're probably not apt to go toward the substances as much. Tom, we don't have a lot of time left, but please talk about the high school band and all of the travel and all of the experiences that you provide to the students of Methuen Public Schools who are involved in band. The travel.
Well, we do a lot of that, and it's interesting because I'll just use as a point of reference. Last year when we went to the National Memorial Day Parade in Washington, D.C., and we had tour guides who are obviously used to doing their 8th grade class trips, those kinds of things. And so I said to them, you don't have to put your umbrella up. If we say to be there at 4 o'clock, they will be there at 10 minutes of 4. We travel. In the fall, we are together. We own them, if you will, because they're with us a couple of nights a week. Saturdays, we have football games, we have competition shows. Yeah. So September, October, right up into early November, and some cases it continues into November because we have football games at Thanksgiving time. We have parades, holiday parades, all of those kinds of things. So they spend an awful lot of time together. They're together a lot, and we also have some special the African drumming that we did last week. Wonderful example of students that 30 students participated in this 3-day residency. Yeah. They had a terrific time. It was wonderful. We brought in a guest artist. That was very nice. It was funded by the Castle Fund here in town. We had took some students down in February to they call it the First Chair Festival at the University of Connecticut at Storrs. Took 3 of our players down to spend the day there. That's a wonderful experience. We just this past week had 3 students, freshmen, over at the Junior District Festival, and we had 5 in January at Senior District Festival. Yeah, yeah. So our students are involved in these programs. There are always opportunities. Sometimes it's small groups. The jazz band went up and performed up for a retirement party for Mr. Nicholson a couple of weeks ago. Right, yeah. So we always have these kinds of things. Tomorrow's our big district jamboree, so students are going to be doing that. Our concert is the week after vacation. We play for pass and review. So there is always a lot going on, and it's always we're sequentially. And to be honest with you, now we're planning for next year.
Really?
Because next year's the band has a major trip every 2 years. So next year, 2015, 2016 is our travel year. So we're going to be looking at a major, as we went to Washington a year ago. We're going to be doing some kind of a big trip like that, and it's wonderful to see.
Just phenomenal, and it's quite clear that you're passionate about the program that you've brought here to Methuen, and you guys should be so proud. And your staff is phenomenal. I've dealt with them, and they're very concerned about the students, and they go that extra mile. Let's finish up with the parents. When I developed the SAD program throughout the school system, I tried to model after you guys, believe it or not, and your parents' support. How were you able to achieve that, and how are you still able to get your parents to support this program?
I don't know how it happens, but it happens. Yeah. There is a great bond. I think part of that is that we work with students over multiple years. Kind of like the football coach gets to know the players from freshman year to, so we get to know them, they get to know us, we get to know, we get to know folks, and I think that's one of the nicest experiences. Of course, we do have the Ranger Band Parents Organization, so we have that immediate structure, but we also have a lot of parents that I know very, very well, but may not necessarily be that active in the organization. They may not be officers, board members, involved in all the fundraising, those kinds of things, but they chaperone trips, they do.
Yeah. So you develop relationships.
You develop a
yeah.
relationship. It was interesting. We took the band down to see an open rehearsal of the Boston Symphony
that's right.
in November, just before Thanksgiving. It was wonderful. Yo-Yo Ma did it, and Andrews Nelson's the new conductor, talked a little about the music and their experiences, and then they did an open rehearsal. And I put that out to the parents. I'm going to need some chaperones to go.
Yep.
Well, within 24 hours, I had more than I needed, and I had to put parents on a waiting list.
Sure.
And we ended up actually getting extra tickets so more parents could go.
Great.
So that's the kind of support that we have. It's amazing. So
well, we're going to finish up, Tom, and thank you so much. I know you have a website, and you might have the African drumming put on it. Would you like to share
We're going
that?
to put that. We do have a website. It's linked. It can be accessed separately, but it's also it is linked to the schools here. So if you actually go to the school's website, you will see fine arts. It's MethuenFineArts.weebly.org.
Okay.
And so we're going to be putting the African drumming. We're going to be hopefully putting some pictures of the band jamboree, which happens tomorrow night here in the field house. That's grades 5 to 12. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock
okay.
in the field house. It's usually standing room only because we have all the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th graders and then the high school band at the end. So it's a huge. So parents get to see everything, and that's a connection too, because they actually get to see. Well, my child is in 5th grade this year. Here's where they're going to be in 2 years. Here's where they're going to be in when they get to high school. They see the whole spectrum of learning, and that's important.
Thank you very much, Tom. It was quite a show. You're very animated, and you believed deeply in your program. And Methuen Public Schools is a better system as a result of the department that you run, and we should be very proud of the product that you've created here at Methuen Public Schools. So thanks so much for coming on to the show.